May 3rd, 2000 meeting of the Tree Advisory Commission in session. We'd like to make an approval for the minutes for both November and December. Anybody have any corrections, changes, updates?
No. I move we approve the minutes of both the November 4th and December 2nd meeting as presented.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any public comments? Comments from the floor? What's the difference? Just curious as to clarification. All right,
Mr. Chairman,
yes, sir.
I do have some, but I'd like to save them for the end of the meeting.
Absolutely. I will save some time for you, sir.
Thank you kindly, appreciate it.
All right, old business tabled applications, old applications. Application 2024-11, Lillian Shu, 17 West 4th Street. Requests that the historic hitching post in front of her home be removed and replaced when the stump is ground. I was told today that that job will be taken care of sometime this spring, and that the owner only requests to have the bricks laid back in the area, and she's not requesting a new tree. So they're going to remove the stump, make
She
sure.
doesn't want a new tree?
No. They're gonna make sure the hitching post is back in place if it gets moved at all, and then they're going to re-brick that area. Okay, application 2024-13, Fred Wright, 104 West 6th Street, printing request. I had submitted a request for bids to Mr. Delgado. Have not heard anything yet in regards to that request. So I'll have to check in with him again about that. So there's no update. That will have to be tabled and pushed forward again to the next meeting. Application 2024-27, David D'Angelo, 308 Moore Avenue, printing request. We had also requested that be put out to bid, or the job be checked out, and I have not had any update about that either.
That's the one with the trees on the side of the road.
Yeah,
right?
there's 6 trees. I think they're
Cherries.
cherries, yeah.
Were we gonna take a look to see?
We were asking
Yeah.
if the city would look at it,
Yeah,
taking on.
you know, if they did,
They have not had any updates.
Okay.
So there was no new business or new applications. Alice, you want to talk about your application that you?
yeah, I did submit an application. I wasn't fast enough though, because I guess, Marika got the,
If it's not, I don't think if it's on the agenda, you can't discuss the
I know,
application.
I know, okay, I'm saying there will be one next month. We will
Okay.
discuss it, okay. Okay.
All right, so that brings us up to the budget report.
Okay, so this is the latest budget report. I'll take that down, please. Thank you. There we go. Okay, so the opening total, this was from December, the 21,191. And the planting that we'd already paid for was $840. Now, we didn't have any removal or maintenance until last month, I guess would be, January, when the fellow from Brandywine finally submitted an invoice. His original bid was $2,500, but he submitted an invoice for $1,905 because there were 2 stumps that he could not do in the cold weather. So that's going to be put off for a little while. Okay.
Is he going to come back and do it, or?
I guess so, because, I mean, it's still part of the, the bid. And when he finishes that, then he can charge us for the rest of the bid, which would be another $600 or so. Now, the beautification, the third line there, it was $1,300 for beautification during the holiday. And so, as I said, I was going to do, I put half of it in planting and half of it in maintenance. So that took $650 off of each one.
Did
So,
they, you talked to Diane, and do you know who submitted that?
the $1,300?
Yeah,
I do. Let me see if I can tell you exactly, because she put it in the email.
Was it John Antonio?
Who?
John or Paul Antonio?
Yes, John Antonio. That's exactly who did it. Yes.
Yeah.
Worth every penny. Beautiful. But it does take off our, money for planting. So the total that we've spent on planting is $94.90, and the total we've spent on removal is $32.05. There is a quote for a grinding stumps out there additionally for the one that was done before for $17.05. So the total spent or committed for planting is $94.90, and the removal is $49.10. Now that leaves us with without the committed already, that leaves us with $17,886.63 with a committed $16,181. However, I have to say that there's a little discrepancy, and it would be difficult to figure out where it is. Diane Delgado told me today that the money we have left is $16,604.28, which is about $1,200 less. Now there are other fees. Like I said, there's a fee for this room and things like that, but I don't really, I'd have to go over the whole budget with her, and I don't want to get on her bad side right now. So, but I do think now, so that means that we have the remainder for planning at $5,510, less than we thought from last month or December. On the other hand, we have $11,000 for removal and maintenance. Ironically, our commitment to split it is actually taking away from our planning at this point, but I know we committed to the 8840 before the budget was done. Before this budget year. So maybe it's not, we could overspend a little bit and take it off next year's budget if we needed to. Do you know what I'm saying about the planting? Anyway, so that's where we are.
that was, I remember that was the spring planting. What's the Brandywine beautification, 650?
No, it's Brandywine is 1905. That's the fellow for the stumps.
Oh, okay.
And beautification is the 1,300 that I just talked about. John Antonio submitted. I took $650 off of each account because we were going to split that.
And what do we get for the 1,300? Do you know?
It's a beautification of the city for the holiday.
Such as?
Huh?
Such as?
Well, all of those planters that you saw everywhere, those were done. I think I'm trying to think what else it would be, but in general, it's, decorations for the holidays,
Sure.
right?
Garland.
Antonio didn't do the planters.
Heidi.
Oh, he didn't?
Heidi and Tara did them.
Well, I assumed that that the money was for that though.
For material.
I think that 1,300 was for spring planting.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, so that was,
Well, okay, so Diane told me it was beautification.
yeah, I'm sure she did. I'm just saying I think the confusion is that the 1,300 actually should be coming out of our planting budget.
So we're now minus $650 from the 5510 then?
Because I don't know if Heidi and Tara have submitted their receipts from all the Christmas decorations were done by them.
Right, but I assume John Antonio was providing it. I don't know.
Yeah, they provided everything. I think he was involved in the planting from the last fall planting.
The fall planting?
Was he involved in that?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
He was
Okay.
involved in the.
So that's a couple of trees then? Is that what that was?
No, he did basically cleanup.
Oh,
Norman and Carl and their associates loaded everything up into containers. And then, Antonio came in and hauled it away. And then prior to that, they did a little work on the tree pits, getting them ready for
Okay, so
planting.
you're not,
But they did none of the planning.
is the 1,300 legitimate in your mind?
Yes,
It
yeah,
is.
there's no issue about
Okay,
that.
all right.
It is. I received a invoice from them and I
Okay.
sent it back and said, you know, this has got
Okay.
nothing to do with me.
And I
Okay.
sent it to Diane.
But the other point is regarding beautification is, Heidi and Tara are responsible for some of the containers. But I know that earlier on, Antonio was responsible for all the containers down by the waterfront.
I guess that's what I was
So I
thinking.
don't know if he was paid for that or, you know, where that money would come from.
that
Well, there's
might be-
$2,000 of the budget was allocated for beautification, right?
Yeah, so I don't know in the future if Tara and Heidi are going to be using that $2,000 for all the containers. I assume they
That
were.
was the original plan, and then when they went down at one point and the containers by the wharf had been done.
Yeah.
Minimally done,
Right,
but,
yeah, and that was done, I think, in the early spring. Yeah,
oh, no, I'm talking about for the holiday,
oh, I'm
for the
sorry,
holiday.
okay,
They had planted a little pine tree, and then
Yeah.
there was some red ribbon.
Well, you know, they have that $2,000 to use as they wish. We really don't get invoices for that or anything, you know? That's allocated to
They
them.
they have to get reimbursed for their expenses.
No, I'm saying it goes in, it's a $2,000 sort of sub budget that we don't control but they have to bring it over to Diane and get reimbursed. Absolutely,
Yeah,
not doing it on their own.
Hmm.
But they have $2,000 that's,
yeah, and that
Already allocated.
shouldn't come out of your budget.
no. Our budget was 32,000, but it's really 30,000. Because that $2,000 was, for some reason, incorporated into our budget.
Got it,
So, but it is
Understood.
theirs. We know that's theirs.
good, thank you.
So they, Suzanne Souter said that it was up to us to how we spent that. So that they still need to be able to submit receipts to be reimbursed for those. The decorations. Why they haven't done that yet, I don't know.
You're saying that we have to deal with the reunification?
Well, it's gonna go to Diana,
Right.
Diane,
Yeah.
but Diane needs to be able to notate what the invoices are for.
Yeah.
All right, so I will contact the beautification committee and make sure they submit their receipts. But that is also going to decrease our budget overall, certainly. So. Any other questions about the budget?
So that means with the 650 added, we're only at 4860 left for planting.
Well, that's what,
How many trees will that get?
no. Well, I mean, if we have to, we're gonna have to.
Yeah, we're gonna have to-
Shift money over.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's fun, as I said, it's ironic that we split it like this and now we're going to the maintenance thing and bringing it over. But
But that
it's
is,
our job. We can do whatever we want, right, Carl? I mean, that's.
not every, whatever.
What, we're not having a party with that?
And I mean, the budget is ours to manage.
Right.
And this was an ideal, certainly an ideal. We're Guarantee we're gonna have to shift some money around, so,
Yeah,
all right.
Just for the future, it's always possible that, there might be two big trees to take down.
that's what I was thinking.
Suddenly you're up to
Yeah.
$10,000 like
Yeah,
nothing.
yeah, that can be really expensive, yeah. We haven't got the work permit or the application for any of those yet, but
Right.
anyway,
And you,
Okay,
and you do have several trees to take down, so it's possible the city won't be able to do them all.
yeah, they did, well, I'll save that for my discussion later. All right, we did the budget. Discussion on the spring planting plan. Ed has developed a report identifying all the tree pits or available tree pits in town. We walked around today and looked at some of the tree pits on 4th Street and 5th Street. and discuss elsewhere. Where else were we?
How many did you find there?
What was the grand total?
Was,
Well, there's too many for us to do in
Yeah,
one
I think
season, so we're gonna, the plan is to try to plant some trees in the spring. And then develop a plan for the fall and the following spring. Because we have to order our trees by August for the fall and the following spring. So I thought we were. Yeah, it was like 20 plus anyway,
I don't think there were that many, Carl.
no?
I'm sorry. Thought I had that here.
That's all right. Well, we found quite a few, and we're gonna focus on sticking with the 5-year plan, and focusing on the west side initially. There may be some people on the east side that get trees because they've been waiting, or because a tree we had planted there was not doing well. So there's always a possibility that we would do some on the east side as well, but mostly focusing on the west.
Are we gonna wait for those for the spring? Well, I guess spring planting would be in a month or two, right? I mean, are we gonna have any spring planting this year?
We're working on. We're working on, we have to find some trees. All right, so then, I'm sure that we'll discuss that a little bit more in a minute here. Any, discussion about extended watering plan? So really it should be the watering plan. We could scratch out extended. At this point, we're, going into a new season. The watering plan is to, look at what we have been doing, look at the trees we have been watering, and hopefully decide to take some of the watering bags off, some of the trees that we have that have been doing well and don't need to have watering bags. With the exception if we have a severe summer at some point where we have to start adding water bags to some of the trees that need some extra watering. So at this point, we have to decide which trees are gonna be on the watering plan, submit the plan to the city and get approval from them. Last year, they watered 80. Was it 80 trees? It was close to 80.
Around 70, 72, something like that.
Yeah.
And then Annalise and her brother watered another 24. So we were, close to 100 trees we were watering. I'm just guessing, but I suspect another, or maybe 20, 25 of those will probably come off.
Yeah, so the problem we will have, if, depending on what the city says in response, what will happen to the trees that need to be watered that are not gonna be covered by the city? But we really don't have a plan for that yet. So we have to look at what our options are, even if it means, hiring a contractor or whatever to do the watering. We've had a lot of volunteerism. It's been great, and Ron has been great at recruiting people to water their own trees. That I think has to be one of our emphasis when we put trees in, that we talk to the owners to see if they'd be willing to water their own trees. Be very helpful. Okay, any Melissa?
Yeah, I have one other
Yeah,
thing
go
to
ahead.
talk about. When I was looking for specific times when I was filling out that application until I realized it wasn't really right. But anyway, so I went back to our minutes over the last year, and I have to tell you, it's impossible to find our minutes on the website.
Oh.
Because I went to the website and I searched minutes of tree, what do we call that one? Tree Advisory Commission. And I went through 21 pages and I still hadn't come up with all the ones from this year. So then I clicked on documents, and it seemed like that was going to be easier because it seemed like they were released by years. But again, lots of them were not there. And this is not something that we have to deal with, right now, but I'm just bringing it up because it was really frustrating to try to find out what we had done in the last year if I didn't save the minutes. And I was sure that's applying to every commission, committee, whatever, that you won't be able to find the minutes by going to the website very easily. Perhaps it's there somewhere, lost in the morass, but, anyway, it's just something I thought I'd mention.
Well, it's an important point because, it was Linda Susky's feeling that she could have done a much more comprehensive account of what Aristotle had done over 90 years, if they had really kept a good record of it, instead of saying, we planted 400 trees.
Right,
City gave us $12,000, or, I mean, there were
right.
kind of anecdotal things.
Right. Well, I was looking specifically for when we had approved the 5-year plan. I could not find it anywhere.
Right.
So, it was frustrating. And I'm sure if somebody else is looking for what happened to their tree or whatever,
Right.
they would find it just as frustrating.
Well,
I have
the,
three of these books,
It have all the minutes and everything, I know.
so I've only been on the commission for 2.5 years.
Mhm.
I have three of these books that has every piece of paper that we have. So I have, if you need to find something.
Well, I'm wondering if
particular-
maybe you could lend it to the city and they could just copy the minutes, from the last 4 years, 3.5 years or two.
Oh, we had,
Do
we
you
get
know
an
where our
email every
minutes go?
month with the
Well, I know
copies.
that, but it doesn't. then it
On the
disappears.
website, no, I just sent it to the city.
in the 5-year plan is on our website.
Where?
Well, if you just do, Tree Advisory Commission, Newcastle, and you hit our website, it's the first item underneath all the descriptors. So the first item is the 5-year plan, the next item is the tree work, program, and then the third thing is the,
When you say our website, you're talking about the city website? Or is there a different
I
website?
just go to the Tree Advisory Commission,
You go to the city first?
no,
You put in the search, Tree Advisory Commission, Newcastle. That would-
right,
Okay, well, maybe that comes up with something different than the city website.
I'm not
perhaps.
sure.
Yeah, okay.
This 5-year plan is dated 6/11/23 was the last entry of the,
Right, but that wasn't when we approved it, right? We approved it, I think, since I've been on the committee, which is only since November last year? I think. Maybe I'm wrong. Very
Well,
likely I'm wrong,
It
but
probably is, because we only finished Delaware Street last year.
Right, we finished it in the fall.
Yeah. So it was probably back in June or July that we talked about the next 5
right,
years. and
yeah, I
approved this.
found it in the minutes of July in 2024, but it wasn't passed or anything. So I'm thinking it was passed, if I remember correctly, it was passed while I've been here. So that's what I was looking for. I couldn't find it, but
Kathy, is that machine, warmed up? Tree Advisory Commission, Newcastle, could you look it up? No.
Oh, I don't know if I can do
I
that.
mean, but.
are you able to get out of that
Right.
while you're recording and everything?
Wait,
Wait a second. I can do it. when you're done.
try it, Alice, and see
Yeah, I will.
if you can.
So the first thing I get is that it directs me, the first thing I get is that it directs me to the City of Newcastle website.
Okay, it is the city website.
Right. Okay, go,
Uh,
there should be like 3 pictures up at the top,
yeah,
and
Yeah,
then go
that's,
down.
that is the city website.
This one?
That is the city website.
Oh, it is,
Yeah. Mhm.
okay.
okay, there it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Does it have a date on it?
I'm the only one who ever reads it, so don't feel badly about it. Check
you see
in.
this, Alice? It has the date. This is the 5-year plan.
Oh, I have the 5-year plan. I was
She
just
wants to know
looking to
when it
see
was
when it was approved. That's what I was looking for. It says here, first entry,
6/11/23,
that's this for,
first entry. of
first
that
entry.
document.
I'm not sure if that's approval. I don't know. Maybe it is. But I thought it was like recently, like in the last year?
6/11.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost a year and a half ago.
Yeah,
Okay,
maybe it's possible that that's the draft of it or something.
This is from your website though,
That's it.
okay.
or at least it's the information I thought I didn't have.
Oh,
Picture
yeah.
of this. I don't know.
Thank you. You sent me a copy of that.
And, you know, the one thing that would really be, is while we're talking about the website, one thing that would really be handy would be to, have, the various articles or, you know, little, you know, anything you do, any little presentations or, would be good to have them on the site somewhere. And then people could, you know, dial into them. Because I think, you know, we've done various things over the years and they're just kind of hanging somewhere. I'm not sure where they are. Outside of Carl's, 2 binders,
Great.
3, outside, excuse me, outside of. 3 binders. Mr. De Minimis.
That's okay, Carl. It's not important because it
Well,
was
we
for
had-
the application, you know, but if the application
Yeah.
doesn't.
Well, it's interesting, we had discussed this, I believe the last time we met, about how there was no place in the city offices where they had, like, you can't walk in and say, can we have a list of all the pre-applications that have not been completed?
Right.
Right.
We can't do that,
No.
other than going through this
Yeah.
page by page.
Yeah, see, we need to be able to come up with the minutes, I think, more easily, you know, on the website, I think.
Well, and Kathy sends us minutes every month, so we do have, that's part of what I do is to copy that and put them in here, because that's a really good and accurate representation of what we have done. Gives us all the action items.
Right.
You know, so those are the, you know, that's what we really need. But the problem is we go on month to month and then we miss a month for whatever reason. And then, you know, so now you're looking, you know, even like these things that have not been updated. We have no update because, you know, we didn't meet last month and we didn't, you know, keep getting it updated. So, but,
Yeah.
so yeah. Well, I agree that we need to, figure that out, so.
And it's still a problem with, people who come in and want to know what, you know, what the status is of their request. And in some instances, they made the request, you know, 2-3 months in advance.
We had
they're
one where
arriving.
it was a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just have to get a booklet of some kind that, like Kim put
Yeah.
together and.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah,
you're right. And then Kim's not there, though. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
And then you just come with the booklet, someone comes in and you say, oh, you know, that was, yeah, I've got it right here. Your name is so. You could have it by name, request, whatever. Probably just 4 or 5 categories would be plenty.
Yeah.
Used to have it.
I'm gonna send an email to Antonina.
I think that was Kim's job to, you know, keep it current.
Yes, when Kim left, suddenly that really, her wealth of experience also would have been, it was part of a retreat, which is.
Everything just went, yeah,
Yeah.
with her.
Anything else on that subject, budget?
No, no,
Um, We need to approve the budget?
I apologize for my phone.
I don't think you have
Yeah.
been. It's just a report.
Right, okay, thank you. All right, so we talked about spring planting, plan is in development. We talked about watering plan, and that's going to be we have to wait till we find out how many trees we can pull off the watering plan. And how much, and then submit that to the city and see how they react to that. So any other discussion on either of those items? All right,
Well, I'm sorry, but while I was looking for all this stuff, I ran across something, I think from you about, the trees to be planted in Battery Park around the, around the playground.
Oh, right.
There was.
Is
a-
that still a thing?
No,
No, okay, good, all right.
they were trying to, and that they may still be. But they had contacted us and we have no, Battery Park is owned by the trustees. It's not our jurisdiction.
Yeah, okay.
Uh,
I think it was having to do with watering or something, but anyway.
Yeah, they were going to submit a request, get trees planted and ask the city to water. That was that time.
Okay,
That was 27 trees,
Yeah,
40 to 42 trees in the whole Battery Park. And they wanted to add 27 in a, fairly restricted area, which would have been a small forest, given the fact that 90% of the trees were likely to be 60 to 70 feet at maturity. I mean, they were all the ones you have at Hagley.
Yeah.
seems like
It's like
5 or 6 would be
poplars.
appropriate, right?
Yeah, big stuff, yeah.
and the oaks and.
Well, that's the plan to put big stuff, I guess.
It was quite something. I was so glad they didn't ask us about it.
Well, they,
I'm sorry, I'm done.
no, that's all right. But they did they got a big grant.
Yeah, I know.
If the.
Good for them.
Not get into that, but hopefully they get the grant. All right, so miscellaneous, any miscellaneous? This be an opportunity for anybody who would like to add to the meeting for tonight. Yes, sir, that would be you.
Well, this really is miscellaneous.
Thank you.
You won't say that when you see it. How about we start with that one sheet of paper there
Yeah,
and this is more website stuff and I'm sorry to be such a unbelievable pest about this, but the tree work form that you all approved. I think Carl and I worked on it some time ago, but I mean, you approved it like, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's not on the website. There are 2 others. I don't know why there are 2 on there, but one is a full-blown one that was part of the city effort, for years. And the other one is a slightly shorter form, but they both have information about arborists and whatever. I raised this again because Ed and I were out on the street and Mrs. Scully came up and suggested that her son had just bought a house on Fifth Street, West Fifth. And there was a tree in front of it that needed to come down. And she said that she tried to fill out the work form and it was impossible. She said, I didn't understand it, and so here we are again. And that's probably about the 5th person that I've bumped into in the last couple of years. But if that could be done, I mean, I have that work form. I'm happy to pass it along. It's such a abbreviated thing
Yeah.
that it's just direct.
It is there somewhere. It's in the documents, I believe, that I went through.
Is it?
I
Okay.
think so. I'll look again, but you're right. When you go for tree application, it's the old one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, in fact, as I say, there are 2 of them there, but anyway. If that could be looked at, and then under recommended tree list, again, there seem to be 2 of them, like we added one of them. And I thought that the first one was sufficient. And if someone could just brush away the second one,
I don't know if this applies to our situation, but I do know that, when I was in the flood resiliency committee, we tried to get some changes to the website and you had to go through Dover.
Oh,
I know it's weird.
that explains everything.
It does kind of, doesn't it? You know, it may be these simple things like this are okay, but you know, we had
Right,
to,
right.
anyway.
Yeah,
I had asked about after we had submitted it.
Right.
and it was changed for a period of time. And then it got changed back. And I contacted, I think at that point it was, Diane Delgado. But somebody responded in the fact that that third page was a legal document that they had to have. They had to have it connected to that work form.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
They basically were telling me that the form itself is a document that we can't change. It has to be changed legally somehow.
Well,
I will check again,
Yeah.
find out what the
but
issue.
it really isn't, you know, a viable form, given the fact that nobody can use it. I mean, what's the point? And unfortunately,
Is it the one you're referring to? Pre-application?
Yeah, look
That's
at
the
the
one
next
to be,
page.
that's the one should have been,
Should have taken.
yeah, should have been
Hold
gone.
Thank you.
You don't have the last second thing.
right, yeah,
There's a
But the
pic-
one, wait, that's the one I filled out, because that was the only one I could find right away
Yeah.
for the other. you know,
I'll send you a copy of the short form. Yeah, I mean, it's just direct to the point. Anybody, you know, the strange thing about all this, if there's anything on our website that people use, it's that document.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a third page, we don't have it in our packet today. That I have to, when I go through all the documents, I have to tear it out and it's never used.
Right.
It's always empty. And we get these every month and you have to go through and tear them out if they're not used. And I think that's the information about, a certified arborist and all that.
Yeah.
So,
Well, let me just keep going here.
Yeah, keep
Right
going.
under, found the following online. Carol had said something to me that, you know, do you realize that some of your tree pits are illegal? And I said, stop right there.
illegal?
I want to know more about this. So I just Googled, tree pits, Newcastle, whatever, and this is what came up.
Where is this from?
No idea. I mean, it's there somewhere, and apparently Carol stumbled on this, and so I just did, you know, kind of a generic search. And there's this thing about, it has to be 6 feet by 4 feet, and I don't think we have a, place in town where you could meet that requirement. I mean, there's hardly, well, the place you could meet it is, alongside of the courthouse. You know, where you have like a 12, 14 foot expanse on the side of it, but other than that, that's kind of a very strange thing. And then tree lawns, which I've never seen any reference to anywhere. We were talking about it today.
That's a common expression in some places. but-
Right, and I was thinking more of a, you know, a boulevard. You know, so.
and then the list of trees that they recommend.
Yeah, and that I found interesting. Where would this come from? I mean, there's not a hickory tree in town, I don't think so.
Ron, this was dated to 2015.
I'm not sure what this was dated. Yeah, this is,
I guess it's the city informational
you
guy.
know, it's certainly more than 10 years old, because that's kind of when I started. So it must have been from.
What had you Googled? Define this again?
I just did tree pits, Newcastle, Delaware.
Just curious.
Is this
Yeah.
for county or historic? All Newcastle.
Yeah,
Territory.
now, if I could just, oh, well, there's one little really miscellany here. Tree watering bags are on sale right now. Anyone who's interested, please raise your hand. No.
For what? What are
Tree
we-
Gator tree watering bags are
Oh.
on sale, where you can get an 8-pack for $169.14, roughly $21 a bag. And they normally sell for $25, $27 if you're just buying one or two at a time.
Where would you buy them? that online?
That was just on Amazon. You know,
How many do we have?
we have about 70, but I think a number of them could use an update.
How many would you suggest we get?
I would think, you know, probably about three groups of 8, probably about 24 new bags, and then we could retire some. You know, they get stuffed up and, you know, they just have 2 little tiny holes in the bottom. But I was
know,
also just poking around and looking at different things online, and I came upon this chapter on street trees.
Before you go into that, do you know the product name,
Tree Gator,
this tree gator?
yep. All one word,
All right, I'll,
you know. And these so-called specials come and go, but that's a pretty good one, you know. I bought a lot of these bags and
how much a pack, did you say?
there were, see.
8?
For 8, it was $169.14. So I would think 24 bags for like $500 is. What do you think, Norman? Pretty good? Yeah, okay, there we are.
They hold up for a few years.
They do,
Yeah.
yeah, I think they're really recommended to go 1 year, but, you know, what we do, at the end of the season, I have someone take them all down, bring them to the house, and then they wash them all down. I make sure that the holes are, you know, reasonably functional. And then they group them in, 10, you know, through the loop with the string, and then they bring them to the trolley barn. Hang them out to dry, and then they're safe in there. But this street tree thing, this was done, this was redone, I'm sorry, in about 2015. And to my knowledge, no tree committee has ever gone over this, because I've been at it for roughly 10 years, and this document has never surfaced. And I really didn't know we had one like this. This reads like something out of maybe like Wilmington, where it's fairly draconian.
We often copy that when we want to do.
Well, I was just wondering where it might have come from, because it would take a lot of initiative for someone to dream all this up. So this is.
This is from our code book,
From
the
where?
city code book. I've seen this before.
Okay,
So if you go into the website and it says city code,
right,
and if you open it up, all the city codes are in there.
Okay.
So this is the street tree section 210 from the code book. Yeah, I've seen this before.
yep. Well, I just thought that since it's been 10 years since it's updated, good luck, gang.
Who updates, who's in charge of updating the code? Who's in charge of updating the code?
I think it's the planning
Probably
commission.
be in charge of this section.
I think so.
So we need, so.
Do we have a code, Joe?
I think that, changes to the code goes through the planning commission, I believe.
Uh-oh.
What is it?
Changes to the code goes through the planning commission, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, do you mind if I take a look at it over the next month and see if there's anything weird in it?
No, please. We all should.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking. This is essentially homework. I mean,
Yeah,
it's trivia, but I'm just wondering if there are a number of things in here that really don't work or apply anymore. And I didn't find the size of the tree pit. It just says that the city will decide on the size of the tree pit. But I was also thinking that, you know, we've gone a long way from just selecting a tree pit. We've decided that it's an essential part of how we plant the tree, and that we want to prepare it properly. And we want to grind it, you know, either 32-inch or 10-inch corners or. So I was just thinking in terms of specificity, we're doing a lot more. This is all kind of, well, most of this is quite general. The city will do X, you know, and you can, you know, if you strangle a tree, this is what's going to happen to you, you know, that sort of thing.
oh, really? Because remember that guy killed that tree on my street.
Well, that's it. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah,
Yeah, we were just talking about it today, that we've lost 2 trees,
yeah,
one to poisoning and one to murder.
yeah,
Yeah,
that was murder.
yeah, and that's not in here anywhere.
Huh?
Did they girdle the tree?
No, there was a newly planted tree and apparently this guy got mad at the woman who lived next door and went over and killed her tree somehow. It looks like it was a poisoning. But it was gone immediately. I mean, it was really, and all the other trees that are similar on the street, fine.
You can test the soil for that.
Yeah,
And
sure,
see
we
if
could
there's any
have.
herbicides.
Well,
That would be the evidence in the court case.
Yeah, exactly.
but she was aghast at it and then burst into tears and.
I know, she had, when my tree went down, you know, when it was, she wanted to know if I could get us to plant a
Right.
tree there. She was very adamant that she wanted that tree.
What
there.
street was this on?
This is on West Fourth Street.
Oh.
You know, it's about halfway up the block. She lives on on the side by the water, you know, so there are like 7 row houses and then there are 2 more. She's in the second one.
Hmm.
And the first one was just renovated. And the guy who was living there, not the guy who's living there now, I don't believe, but the
No,
guy who lived there before, she might have said something. She's a little prickly. So she might have said something and he got mad and he killed her tree. According to her.
yeah, well, she's gonna get one
Yeah.
soon here. That's number 55.
What, on the list?
No, that's a house number.
Oh, her house number, yeah, okay,
And I think you're 61, and that's where the pink
Right.
flares start.
right.
And will go down there with 5, and then where the gentleman, that
Joe
died,
Campbell, he really
Yeah,
wanted one
we're
too.
gonna- that's been ground down. We'll dig that out a bit, and there, so I have about 6 in a row over there, which is pretty good.
Can I don't know, but I've seen this happen before on code like this, is that we have to do a code in order to get something. Or to, you know, like be a tree city or something like that, and we have to have a code. So we borrow a code from somewhere else and we just incorporate it into our own
Okay.
code. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's what happened here. I've seen that in other situations.
Well, yeah, it's very possible, and there are a lot of them.
Yeah, a lot of, I'm like, yeah,
I mean, that's what kind of shocked me.
I know, well, you know, if you're Wilmington, you need all this, I guess.
Well, and
Anyway.
if you consider, I don't know what the time span is here, but it's possible that this was put together over like, 50 years. I don't know that, but given the fact that it's been 10 years since anybody's looked at it, this stuff has probably been around.
These look like some of the worst trees you can put near a sidewalk. A black, walnut,
I know, those are the things
hickory,
we
white
try
oak.
not to, right?
I mean, maybe it was a typo.
I don't know.
Lilac.
I
As a
know,
street.
lilacs.
We do have a couple of lilacs
okay.
on your street.
Do we?
Yeah,
There's one near you.
Oh, on our side?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do they get really, really fluffy in the fall? Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's certain cottonwood, right? But
Yeah, it's not what everybody calls lilac.
that's what I'm.
It's
thinking of.
it's a Japanese.
Okay.
Yeah,
And the flowers aren't fragrant. They don't bloom in the spring. Yeah,
They bloom in June or something.
Yeah. it's,
It's not the lilac I'm thinking of.
no, it's
great.
Syringa reticulata.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
So, sorry to do that to you, but
No, it's,
I mean, I don't know if there's a lot to do with it, but, I thought just, even if we highlighted about 5, 6, 7, 8 things that didn't make any sense anymore, that might be struck from it, that would help the document a lot. And then I thought, well, maybe there are 2, 3 things that we could add that might be helpful to people in the future.
and you've given us, we had talked about a list of things that you thought should be on this document. I had submitted them to the city. And I'll have to look to see what their response was.
Right.
But we had a list of suggested additions to the code.
Yeah, and I think it'd be very difficult for a group of people that aren't up on a lot of this to make a lot of sense out of it and to make reasonably good suggestions about it. You know, you need kind of someone like Norman to guide you, you know, through it, and someone like me who's made a lot of mistakes out on the street to make sure nobody makes them again, right?
Because since the city doesn't have a code enforcement officer, it'll never be enforced.
Although it does suggest that they have a professional who would advise the city on safety, health, and preservation of trees.
They pay, gets paid.
Norman.
It's in-
See?
How many hats do you have there that you're not using, Kathy? I think Norman needs all of them.
The window is there.
Yeah, the window stuff.
Just have to jump through.
And all we need is to do is hire Furio back, and, you know, we,
Get him out of
very
retirement.
helpful,
Yeah.
unbelievably helpful.
Yeah.
And the neighbor across the street is thinking about, applying for the, position. And, he'd be excellent at it, worked for the Defense Department, knows a lot about particulars. And I invited him to come this evening, but wasn't able to make it, but, I would hope he would apply. You know, he's very, very, very capable. And then they have another position for like a, code helper, or, you know, kind of an abbreviated,
Yeah.
code meister. And, I would think that'd be wonderful to hire, Furio back for that. I mean, even.
Does
if
he
it's
wanna
a-
be on? I thought he was retired, he didn't wanna do it anymore.
Well, I chatted with him and it was more complicated than that.
Oh,
Yeah, I think it was the whole thing was, he thought too much for one person, whatever,
oh,
but even if he came back for 6 months and guided someone, I mean, we keep getting people who are hired and then they stay for a week or two and then they leave. Well, I think something's wrong with the job, right? I mean,
sounds like it.
you know. Well, thank you kindly for giving me a chance to introduce miscellaneous.
I don't, I want to say, I don't know much about trees as you do or Carl does, but I am a lawyer. That's the only reason I thought I would to look at the code as a lawyer, and so, you know.
Yeah,
And-
well, lead us next month, would you?
No, it's,
We'll give you another hat.
No, I saw some things, it would be interesting discussion, so everybody take notes.
Yeah,
The assignment is to read it and
That'd
take
be
notes,
great, yeah.
come back
That'd be,
with any
yeah, everybody.
ideas.
actually be doing a real big service for the community, I would think. Because nobody wants to look at this thing.
Any
Every part
comments,
of my education on this.
any comments from the other commissioners?
No, it's
Sorry,
I have a,
more miscellaneous?
yes, so the Bartlett and the ash tree is just dragging on and we're not getting anywhere, so I would suggest that we know, the committee knows which trees have to be should be removed. I suggest that we remove them, send a letter to Bartlett about the remaining trees, and if we cut down the ones that are already dead, how many do you think are left roughly?
Well, there are two between the Arsenal and the Sheriff's House. One of them is shot, but one is excellent. And then if you go out to Clymer Street in Dobbinsville, there's a huge one that is the only one it's a series of row houses. And there's one right in the middle, and it's fantastic.
There's one by the, what's the club down at the end of
Progressive.
Progressive Club? There's a big one there. There's two on corner of my house.
Right, yeah,
That
you
are
got,
healthy.
they look pretty good.
Yeah, I'd like to keep them if we could.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're up to 5.
5
Yep.
now.
Yeah, I don't,
They took one of those trees between the Arsenal and the Sheriff's House. They took one down just recently.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah. And then on the green, there's Judge Cooch and my parents, there's two there that are
Right.
healthy, but I'm not sure if they do theirs.
On the side of the residences? or
Yeah,
for
on the
okay.
side of the residence,
Mhm.
and they're healthy,
Yeah, they are.
yeah,
Yeah, those are very good. So that's about 7.
but I'm not sure which one's Bartlett tree.
Yeah, but I would just suggest that the committee get a hold of Bartlett.
Yeah.
There's I don't know, an estimator or whatever that you could talk to and say, hey, we only want these trees if you are now doing them to continue on the spray program. We don't want a half dead tree sprayed. And then that'll reduce that expense.
Are they spraying or injecting?
I have the receipt right here, the invoice. So this was from 2024, May 13th. Yeah, Sheriff's House, these are the trees. Sheriff's House, Office, Market Street, Arsenal, Market Street. Another Arsenal, Market Street, that sounds redundant. Medium, Market Street, the medium would be the,
That's Dewey Park, but
Dewey
that
Park.
belongs to the
Park.
trustees. That's not ours.
that's interesting. All right,
And they were doing the honey locust, I think, in front of the,
127 Harmony Street, so you,
that's
Yes.
Wolcott.
Yes.
54 East Fourth, that's the one they took down. That's the corner of,
Right, yeah. Yeah.
they took that one down already.
Yeah.
The Purple House, yeah.
That's two that have taken down already. 45 West Fifth Street.
That's the one we
Oh,
looked
that's
at
what we were
today.
just talking about.
Yeah. That's dead. That's dead and gone.
132 East Second, it's a fringe tree.
132 East,
Second.
that's gone.
Fringe tree.
That's all the way, yeah, that we put in 3, Metro Gold down in that area. There are no trees in that whole area, so that was
Is
removed.
there any more on Second Street?
Yeah, I'm getting through the list here. 16 East Third,
16
16
East.
East.
Is that
Third.
Judge Cooch?
16 East.
That would, yeah, that's
that-
up in,
What's your parents' address?
24.
Yeah, that's,
the baddies are the 18, so it's up toward the corner. Delaware
Yeah,
Street.
that must be
Like the baddies?
The
Judge
baddies are 18.
yeah, so it's like at the Cooches.
Cooches, yeah.
Right, then there's a second, this one is from July. So they treated some in May. And then they treated some in July. Both invoices are $2,900. There's some overlap here. 14 East Third.
42 East, 3rd.
Anyway, here's
14.
an interesting note. This tree does not exist. I mean, it's not included.
But we're gonna bill you for it anyway.
Easier for the taxpayer.
313 Delaware Street.
Let's see, 1, 2, 3,
Is that across from Bridgewater's?
that's, yeah. No, that's, your old house.
Oh,
That's the corner, 313.
Is what house?
That's the Wolcott house.
Oh,
Yeah,
That's the corner.
across from Bridgewater's.
Yeah, right.
That's
right
the
right
house
at your
right
house there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
417 Delaware Street.
That's gone. 417. No, let's see.
Was
No,
that
I'm
Jack?
wrong there because we took the tree down at 411. 413 is the green door, 415. So there's a little cluster of trees there, a London plane, an ash, and a elm tree. So there is one right in there. It's a small one. Yeah, it's like about yay.
And 629
was newly
Climber.
planted or just didn't grow?
629 Climber, that's when you were talking.
That's the one I'm talking about. Yeah, yeah.
And then 702 Tremont.
Yes, 702 Tremont is,
that the corner of Tremont and?
That's just
6th Street?
before you dead end on Tremont.
Oh, yeah.
It's right on the corner there. It's something like that.
Right, that's,
There are two trees there.
No, 702 Tremont.
Yeah, it's just as you're gonna cross into the area, it says dead end and there, the railroad track is there.
And then, 116 West Third.
16
16
West
West
Third.
116 West Third, that would be on this, oh, that must be the one in Progressive Club.
Oh, okay.
116.
That's right. And then.
Oh, yeah, the Progressive Club, yeah. Mhm.
Here's the corner of Second and Harmony, that's your other tree.
Yeah, okay. Oh, good.
So they had two trees right there in the corner and they treated them two separate days.
So-
Yeah, I see they.
So that's redundant.
Well, no, he has two of them, I think.
Two.
Oh,
They
one of
treated
them is
one
on one
day.
list and one on the other?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
They
One-
did.
Okay, yeah, you're right. One's on
One, two.
Second Street and one's on Harmony.
Right.
Yeah. Now, the one on the Progressive Club, we have no responsibility for that because that's not on the street.
No, I think we, looked at, in the past, and we are
Yeah.
responsible.
Oh, we
for that.
are?
Furio looked it up. And I know
Oh, that's right.
I know
I
the
remember that.
the owner of the Progressive Club wanted it taken down, but it was assessed that it was a healthy.
We
tree.
said, oh, no, we'd rather spray it.
Yeah.
So that leaves 13 trees on the total plan.
Wow.
13.
13 out of what we had 18. So we eliminated 5. Okay. So I did send, I wanted to know, procedurally, how this should be handled. And I didn't know if they, they were okay with us contacting Bartlett directly, or do we need to put the request in and have the city make the contact? So I did ask that question. Don't know what the answer will be, but I do know, Peter Kingshill is the guy who did it. Both of
He's
these.
now retired.
I see. Here's a,
Yeah.
This is
Wow.
quite a story. Something for the paper.
At least I was totally retired because he was thinking about applying to Gateway.
well, because he's the one who also did our, when we had the elm on, by the Ansel House. He's the one that did the report on that. All right, well, I'm sure somebody else is picking up so if I don't hear back from the city, I will contact Bartlett directly and see what they know.
Well, Alice, there goes the budget on the other side of the ledger.
Yeah, there you go. It's all gone now.
Yeah, I mean, that was, almost $6,000.
Yeah.
But the city split it with us, remember?
Oh, did they?
Yeah,
Well, that's,
That's
They
right,
had
I think it
us
was like
paying
3,900
half, and
or
they-
Something like that.
yeah. Okay.
Anyway.
All right, some more homework. All right, anybody,
good topic, Norman. We kind of put it to rest.
thank you for our miscellaneous items. And does anybody have any other comments or questions? Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Second,
All in favor?
I.
All right.
And informally, I would just like to thank the committee for being so open